Welcome to our careers webinar with a special research spotlight today, where you will be introducing you to one of our key hiring and training partners. So more details in just a bit. I'm Laura Torres with Blue Star Careers. But first, let me tell you, or let me ask you, SaaS. Are you familiar with this word, SaaS? Let's say it again. SaaS, SaaS. It sounds like a song, right? But it's not. So SaaS is a software delivery model which businesses purchase a subscription, or they can acquire different type of support through software solutions, and is get access over the internet instead of having a server on premises in your office for companies for a lot of high tech industries, or if simply it's not part of the remote cloud server or something like that. So that's why we're going to let the experts tell us all about SaaS, but most importantly, how you can get yourself into a SaaS sales career. So let's get started. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to your comments. Well, hello once again. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special edition of a research spotlight, but also employer spotlight. So slash 2 for 1, like I said yesterday when we highlighted our research, our partner for today, which is Aspireship. And in just a little bit, Jacqueline will tell us all about Aspireship. But first, I want to encourage you all who are watching to please tell us where you're watching from. Tell us. We love to be able to send you a shout out towards the end and acknowledge your support. And of course, post any comments, any questions you might have towards the end. We will highlight those. And one last thing, pay it forward. If you know of a military spouse right now within your network who needs to pivot to a new career, who needs to know more about the emerging technologies such as SaaS industry, this is something they definitely need to know. So pay it forward, highlight them, tag them, and let them know where that this is all here available, and it will be here for the replay. So without further ado, let's welcome my special guest, Jacqueline with a Y. How are you doing today?
I am doing so well. I'm so grateful to be here, Laura. Just want to thank you so much for this opportunity. And hi to everybody who's joining us today. I'm really excited to talk about, the opportunities that there are in tech sales, specifically because these roles are in such demand right now. And believe it or not, ladies, women actually, from a data perspective, outperform men when it comes to sales. So we'll talk about transferable skills and why these are great opportunities right now, especially if you are changing careers or re-entering the workforce. So
Fantastic. So thank you. Thank you once again for taking the time to be here and, enlightening all the details, because we have a lot of questions for you as well as our community. Once again, please post your comments and your questions. This is a great, great career. I did some research here, and the top earner potentially, and this is of course potentially, it all depends on your experience and how well you engage into some of this professional sales careers in technology and SaaS, could earn up to $103,000. Whoa, that just blew my mind, Jacqueline, right there. So I want to know more, but first tell us all about Aspireship. Who are you guys and what do you do?
yeah, happy to share more about Aspireship. As we start to talk about what's happened with regard to technology and software sales, hopefully it will make sense. But the long story short is that the founder of our company was an executive for a technology company and used to always have people kind of pull him aside and say, "Hey, I'm in the customer service department." And, Laura, you mentioned that really nice salary in sales. Like, I'm in customer service. I'd love to be able to increase my earning potential. Or I'm in marketing, but I'm really passionate about getting out there and, again, increasing my earning potential. What do I need to do to get into sales? And time again, as he would go back to his executive team, he found that there was always this barrier with regard to the thinking, right? Here you have people who work for the company, but because they didn't have any sales experience, they would automatically be disqualified from even interviewing for the position. And so he wanted to change that very quickly. not just within his own organization, but across the industry overall. So we are changing the way companies actually hire talent by training people who, whether you have sales experience or not, help you get more familiar with how does software sales actually work from a buying process, what's the vocabulary I need to be familiar with. So we do provide 20 hours of robust training so that when you're done, you are actually able to seamlessly get into a SaaS sales role. And guess what? We place you there. So that's the other piece of our business model. Rather than you having to go out and knock on the doors yourself, we have hiring partner companies that trust our methodology, and they're like, you've trained these people, they're ready to go. You've actually vetted them for me. You're saving me a lot of time, and you're finding people I would have never been able to find otherwise. We'll go ahead and interview them. And so we're really here to help more people break into tech sales, SaaS sales. These are all the same things for the roles that we're talking about today.
Great. Thank you. Now, if, again, I just heard in such a great process you guys have in Aspireship, the ability to be able to not only train me, but also place me at jobs. But if I still don't understand, what is SaaS? Tell me, what is SaaS? It sounds like a good, catchy song name, SaaS, SaaS. But tell me, what is SaaS, Jacqueline?
I love a good catch, Laura. Yeah. So I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but I'm sure many of us remember when we would get software in prior years, and it always came by way of CD or, dare I say, floppy disk. But if we think about how, Microsoft Word and all these things that we used as we started to embrace the computer, software traditionally was within something tangible. SaaS, as you said, stands for software as a service, which actually means, number one, how are we accessing the software and what's the pricing model for the software? So if we flash forward away from the floppy disks and CDs and we think about SaaS products that we use every single day, Zoom, maybe Intuit and TurboTax for those of you that have filed your taxes on your own. If you've ever dabbled in social media, Hootsuite, maybe you've had your own e-commerce store on the side, Shopify. Those are all SaaS products, believe it or not. You're no longer needing something tangible to access that software. Instead, you're actually able to sign up for a monthly recurring subscription and then get that software over the internet or over the cloud. So it sounds really overwhelming, but that's the simplest way to explain it. It's really breaking down how is the software distributed, what's the pricing model, and there's an ongoing subscription that you're paying for to continue to have access to that software.
That's exciting. Now, for us that, obviously all of us who are in a constant, mindset of pivoting or perhaps, especially in the military spouse community, looking for a portable career, why would you say this particular industry is in such a high demand?
Well, this has been happening prior to the pandemic. So I'm going to answer that question in two parts, right? What was happening prior to the pandemic? If you think about how many people are using Zoom and Slack and online tools every single day, personally and professionally, let's think about that on a business basis. You've had so many industries that are affected by what's called digital disruption. Industries, if you've ever gone to the doctor's office where they typically take a questionnaire and it's all paperwork, or perhaps financial service industry, all of those companies now need to shift the way they organize their data, the way they charge their the billing and making sure that they no longer take checks. So we're shifting from this idea of paperwork and manual work to moving things over to digitizing it. So digital disruption was already creating a lot of demand for these roles. When you add the pandemic on top of that, now you have people in higher education that need to use this tool. You've got people that need to ensure that their workforce can in fact work remote. And there are thousands of SaaS applications that are fueling that work remote. Think about productivity tools and managing the payroll and even video messaging. So the demand is only continuing to grow because of both digital disruption and the pandemic and what's happened with regard to the adoption of remote work.
That's wonderful. So it's a good disruption for sure in the workplace because it has allowed us to actually grow and pivot to most portable careers. So would you say, right? That's a really good disruption for sure.
Absolutely, especially for women. As I've said, the statistics, trust me. So I've been working for this company for 15 months now, and we saw that the people that were greatly impacted by the pandemic were, stay-at-home wives, working mothers, people that typically are responsible for the household. And now you're able to bring a job into that household and just allow you to earn income as well as increase in skill set. I agree with you. It's been a wonderful disruption and long overdue.
Absolutely. Now, tell me about Aspireship and the enrollment process, because as I mentioned earlier, you guys are two for one. So that's a dream resource yet job as well for you guys, because you provide the training, but also provide some of the job placement as you provided, as you earlier mentioned. So walk me through the process. So I go, I enroll, then what?
Yeah, well, you go and you enroll. And one thing prior to enrollment that's key to know is that this is a totally self paced course. So the material itself is 20 hours in duration. And when I'm talking about material, I'm talking about watching immersive video lectures. There's written content to help ensure that you're picking up the key learnings and the retention is there. There's quizzes, there's actual role play assessments. So you're not just studying the fundamentals of what we're talking about, but you're actually getting to practice it before you ever jump into a SaaS sales role, which I think is really, really key. So, the application, there is no application. This is open to all. And, our only, caveat, if we had to have one, is that we need to ensure that you have, in fact, retained the knowledge to be able to transfer over into the industry as it pertains to, getting access to our hiring partners, having interviews. We have to demonstrate that you understand, okay, I can literally go from watching these videos, notating the vocabulary, and I can and practicing the role play assessments to being able to seamlessly start a SaaS sales job on day one. So we do have a scoring rubric, and you do have to pass in order to be placed with our hiring partners in that pool. But what we found from people is they're like, I love that I go to your website and sign up. There's no application for me. There's no admissions persons I need to talk to. Now, if you hear, oh my gosh, self-led, like I've got a busy schedule, how am I supposed to ensure that I get this done? We actually reach out to you throughout your time in the course to provide you with encouragement and to let you know that even though you're doing this autonomously and on your own, our team is monitoring your progress. And if you get stuck, if you have any sort of questions, we're always here. We've had people complete this training in 14 days and literally get a new job within 30 to 60 days. Our average placement is around 60 days at this time. There's no fees. Literally, you sign up, you'll get your first email to kick things off, and then you'll continue to receive those support emails while you go into the back end of our learning platform and start your journey, familiarizing yourself with any and everything there is to know about SaaS sales.
That's really, really, really great support, because it's really hard to stay motivated when you're doing, even though we think of it, if you think of it, self-paced, it's very autonomous. It gives you the freedom to just do it in your own terms, do it on your own, and just go and grab it and do it when you fit it in. But it can very easily sometimes be discouraging because you're on your own. You are just trying to figure it out, and life happens all the time, especially in the military spouse community. Things happen, orders change, activities perhaps take other priorities. And so the fact that you provide that check-in, the peer support, hey, we're here for you, we got a job for you, perhaps at the end of the training and the session, and that encouragement, it's very, very helpful, I would think, for any of the members who embark into this particular path.
We've heard that. We have in fact heard that. If somebody's open to online training and online learning, usually it's like, hey, I'm going to go to YouTube, or I'm going to go to another, course provider. And like, you're right, they feel a little bit alone or overwhelmed. And the other piece of this is we actually have you do this job as a practice, right? And so we've heard from people, I'm nervous about that. But like no better way to be able to gain the knowledge by way of learning what you're already doing online, right, for free, and then being able to actually practice it and get feedback. So we do provide feedback on, the video assessment that people create. When you actually get introduced to our hiring partners, we provide interview feedback. I mean, the learning and the training piece of it is one important aspect, but how many of us feel alone when we're interviewing for jobs? It's a very vulnerable time. So we're just here to help coach, encourage, and ultimately get you in one of these remote roles.
Fantastic. Now, tell me, I want to ask you a question that perhaps is not in our previous, list of prepping questions, but this is one that is always so dearest to me and is a little bit sort of a hunting for some of our members in our community. How do you get over the hurdle of overthinking sales? Because I think that scares people. Sales is like, oh my God, I don't want to do any selling. But tell us, Jacqueline, how did you, or what have you heard from other members within your training path cohorts that they get over that hurdle or that mindset that it's a scary job or it's a scary industry to be in?
No, I'm glad you brought this up because, a lot of times when we think about sales, here's the words that initially come up. Back against the wall, high pressure, manipulative. And it's so funny. Somebody on my team that first joined, she was an intern and now works for us. She goes, well, when I first thought about sales, I just thought about the car person that you're dealing with that like doesn't let you go. Now, what's interesting is if we take away that definition of sales and we think about what we do in our day to day, we're usually listening to people. We usually have, like, if you're dealing with children, if you're a mom, you're listening to your child. You have a certain set of directions or plans you want them to go. And then you're using information to perhaps not persuade them, but to be like, tell me a little bit more about why you're so passionate about not doing this, and let me see if we can come to a resolution or a solution for your problem and help you get on this particular path. I believe it or not, my first job out of college, actually I'd always worked in sales, retail sales. My first job out of college was working for a business development company selling payroll. We actually use sales every single day, listening, communication, clarifying, am I sure that I'm hearing what I'm hearing? A little bit of negotiation. Okay, you want to do this, but I think this is the better direction for the problem we're trying to solve. So really the way we'd like for people to think about sales is it's communication and relationship building. And that's the truth of the matter. You will have companies as it pertains to software sales that are a little bit more transactional, where the company's like, I just need, to get my paychecks processed or whatever. I'm not going to explain to you everything that's happening as it pertains to my business. You're going to have other companies that are like, well, here's what's going on with our employee morale. Here's some more feedback and data that we could use your help on. So really it is a matter of building a relationship, communicating. And honestly, if you think about it, you use sales every single day. It's just not the way we've defined it as far as it pertains to a role.
Right. And in fact, this is a selling session, by the way, team. If you guys are watching out there, I know we have quite a bit of a community on LinkedIn watching, and then there's a few more on our Facebook groups and our Facebook pages. We're doing a selling session right now. We're selling you the opportunity to walk yourself to a new career, portable career in a new industry that perhaps you're not very familiar with, but it's a great industry that is growing, it's on demand, and it has great salary ranges for some of our community members that perhaps, and when I say great, I mean, of course, it's all within the scope of your achievements and the scope of your involvement and how great you stay within the industry. But when I mean by great is because sometimes we're not used to it because we're moving so much and we're starting jobs on a regular basis. We start at the salary range always in a lower range because military spouse employment is so underemployed. Always have to start all over again in industries that perhaps you don't train with. But this is a great path that you can train, It's a portable career, like Jacqueline mentioned. It is all remote and for various places, from various places throughout the U.S. where you can actually employ it. So I'm curious about your employment support. So I go through your training, I achieve it in 2 or 3 weeks, perhaps. And then what? What happens after I'm done with all of my training, Jacqueline?
Yeah.
How would I be walked through employment?
Yeah, and Laura, there is a question specifically around like the 30 days too. So I want to go ahead and just answer that,
Sure.
and that'll tie really well into the employer support and everything. So we literally have companies every single day coming to us that are like, I have all these job openings where I need people like yesterday, right? So imagine if we didn't have that timestamp and say, you have 30 days to complete this training. By creatures of habit and by default, we'd be like, well, I'll get to it when I get to
Yeah.
it. We have jobs now. So we give everybody 30 days access because we literally, as soon as you graduate, have jobs that we start prepping you to interview for and everything. And I'll get into that process in just a moment. If somebody finds that, you know what, 30 days, like I've got a lot going on with my schedule, we got, stationed somewhere else, we are always able to put either provide a complimentary extension or work with you. But the gist of it is that the job component piece is the real opportunity here. So when you actually pass the assessment and the training, our candidate experience team will set up what's called a grad call with you. And on that call, they want to get to know a little bit more about your background. What was your previous industry? How can we start to help you craft those transferable skills and really speak to, this is what I'm going to bring to this software sales organization, whether I've had experience in SaaS sales or not? Because we've had a lot of people that actually have had sales experience, as well as people that have had no sales experience. After that graduate call, we actually have software that we use for all the companies with all the open positions. And we start to learn, okay, based on what this company is looking for, characteristics wise, and the vertical that they're in, this individual that we just talked to, they're going to be a great fit. So within a matter of 3 days, you start receiving opportunities from our team. Here's the opportunity. Here's what the job title is. Normally, if you've never had SaaS experience before, you're starting off as a sales development representative. Here's an overview on the company and the vertical that they serve, whether it's fitness. We have a lot of people in ed tech. We run the gamut: HR, hospitality. And then we start saying, are you interested in this? Because there has to be a good fit. We don't want to push you towards a company or organization where you're like, I don't know. So once we have that alignment on your side and on the company side, and the company's like, yeah, I'm open to interviewing this individual, then we move to the next round, which is getting you scheduled for the interviews. So, now you've actually gone from, I signed up for a training, I passed the training, I met with this team, to, oh, I'm interviewing with companies. And as I said, some of these companies are going to be a little bit more particular about what they're looking for, as far as maybe some prior sales experience. Some of these companies are really into the soft skills and hunger and determination. But regardless, we start being able to provide you with direct feedback. Here's what they said. Here's what they loved. Here's what they think could be an opportunity for you to improve on. And by way of elimination, we help you move down towards finding that role where on the company side, they're like, we want to extend an offer. And on your side, you're like, I am absolutely ready to accept. So it's really, somebody described it as being white glove. This is very different than job searching on your own, because we're with you throughout every stage of the process.
I love it. Where do I sign up? Where do I sign up? Don't tell my boss, right? Where do I sign up? By the way, the enrollment form, it's right there. I dropped it under the comments. So you should be able to reach all of our different communities where we are broadcasting right now. But if you are watching and you're just turning in right now, please, this is, we're talking about SaaS careers, careers in SaaS sales industry. So make sure that you watch the replay and you post your comments for Jacqueline, and of course for our team, Spouseforce. Will make sure that you get connected with their team, as well as with the enrollment, and we get all the process to follow up with you. So don't be shy just because you're tuning in towards the end. We'll still have time for questions and for shout outs. So post those under the comments because we'll love to be able to highlight you towards the end. And we're talking about Aspireship is one of our training partners, as well as they also provide you with guidance to land that career that you need in order for you to find a remote portable career, which it can happen. You just have to put a little effort. And I do see the advantage, Jacqueline, of having that 30-day gap. It keeps you in that mindset of, I gotta get it done. I have a time limit. I mean, like you mentioned, you are able to do the extension, but it is important to have that time limit in order for you to set your goal when you want to be employed, when you want to reach the milestone of having a great career that is portable with you, especially within the next few months where, it's PCS season soon. And so you're going to start getting orders. So I think a lot of our community members right now is the perfect time to start taking advantage, to enroll and to start, working with the Aspireship team to get into a great training and then ultimately a great career. Now, I have a question on my own, just because would anyone who applies get accepted? It is a training. So would anyone that applies and completes your enrollment form would get accepted?
Yeah, we have no, quote unquote acceptance, like no application process. I will say a key component to this is you don't, somebody mentioned I'm not very good at people, are there behind the scenes roles. Well, a key component to SaaS sales, whether you are going to be sales development representative, qualifying people that would be a great fit for the software that you're selling, or an account executive, account manager, or customer service role, people is a common denominator. So, if you find yourself, and there's a lot of, Laura, there's a lot of bias about, or like stereotypes about, I have to be an extrovert to be really good at sales. You've got a lot of introverts that are great at sales because they're great listeners, they're empathetic, but there is a people component to this. Regardless, in this role, you will be interacting with people. That aside, there is no quote unquote application. You sign up, you dive into the training. As I mentioned, our training on the back end side is also very motivating to help you complete, and it's laid out in a very visually pleasing way. But the end goal is, hey, if you decide by way of this training that SaaS sales isn't for you, that's completely okay. There's no obligation, which I think is really, really key. Not every single training gives you that flexibility to be like, I thought I was open to this. I started learning more about it and I'm not interested. So if you're in that camp and you're like, okay, I'm going to back up, the sales truck, totally fine. What we do see more often than not is that once people break down that stereotype of sales is pushy and this and that, and they see our training, all of a sudden they're like, sales is abundant. Sales is connection. Sales is, wow, like the future, especially with regard to the digital disruption that we were talking about. So, you're not locked into anything at all. Ultimately, we just want to help people that say, yes, this is totally perfect for me. I can see myself doing this and I am ready for it. Take that leap.
Yeah. And just to add a little bit about the sales, sort of maybe sort of not lack of understanding or intimidation, is sales is facilitating or providing a solution as well for community members, for the individuals within your environment. So sales is also solutions. At least that's how I see it. I love to be able to highlight with our community members that it's not such a scary thing. In nonprofit, we do sales. We go out and again share the opportunity, the solutions that we need in order for our communities to engage better. And so that's also sales. In a different context, of course. But I did wanted to also just to make sure, to once again, if you have any comments, please share them at the end, and tell us where you're watching, as well as if there's anything else that you need from our community. Of course, Team Aspireship will be up here on hand to support and to answer any of your response. And I'm sorry, I'm like doing two things at once. I'm reading comments, so I'm going to get onto the comments right now, Jacqueline, for you. But I did wanted to also just put you on the spot as well, and then put, because in our military spouse community, one of the things that we really, really, really desire is a portable career. For us, a portable career will be perhaps a job that we don't have to break or start all over again every time we relocate and move. With your employment database or employment partners, are most of those employment opportunities really portable to the fact that they can go anywhere with the US, or are they mostly location based, although within remote options?
That's a really great question. So we have a blend of both. We have hiring partners that are like, hey, I have no limits with regard to what states my employees can actually work in. So we're like, great, okay, we can find people in, Arizona, where I'm tuning in from today. I saw we've got somebody from San Diego, California, Florida, Texas. We do have some employers, given their tax structure, that are like, our headquarters is here. Yes, we allow remote work, but we need somebody who can work remotely in this location. Really, we get to find that information out from you on the grad call. So what's helpful is that, with a recruiter, or maybe even just trying to break through the usual way of applying to a job, which is an applicant tracking system, you're not able to communicate, hey, I'm a mil spouse and my significant other, and I might be moving within the calendar year. Am I able to really work remote for this company? Or am I going to get penalized if I have to relocate? And in this case, we get that detail up front. So it goes back to that pairing, Laura. We wouldn't want to pair you with somebody that didn't have, the understanding of, you very well could be in, Las Vegas or
Right.
Nevada today and end up in Texas or Virginia, where I'm from. And there's a huge military community by the end of the calendar year.
Wonderful. So once again, I love it. So if you see my name in there again, don't tell my boss I'm doing this training. But it's such an incredible opportunity, and it's always such a great way to learn, and stay up to date completely on the options. And you never know, you might, have some time in the next, 2 weeks before the holiday, before the year is over, and then experience, well, maybe it's not a good time for me to find a job, but you already have the training perhaps out of the way. Can I still be on your database and then maybe engage in employment options maybe in 3 or 4 months, Jacqueline?
Yeah, we do have those scenarios. In fact, if you go to our LinkedIn, we had a really moving story from a lady by the name of Lauren, who found us last year when she was pregnant. She went on maternity leave and was really inspired and motivated to make a change. She actually lives in Hawaii. So she was like, I want to continue working in Hawaii, and I'm going to look at tech sales as the opportunity and pathway to make that happen. And so a year later, she actually completed our training. Now, that's not the normal case. What we see is that there is usually an urgency around, I want to increase my earning potential. I want to re-enter the workforce, but we can look at things on a total case by case, basis.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then just real quick, I'm going to now take the time to acknowledge some of our comments. People that are actually watching from different communities, although our LinkedIn is, people out there are super happy. So Viviana, thank you so much for watching, tuning in from San Diego. And then, of course, the enrollment form is under the comments. So if anybody wants to enroll, don't necessarily recognize that you're going to remember all of this. That's why it's in the comments. So, but you can always also tag us at our Spouseforce virtual community or anyone within our team, and we'll make sure that I get it over to you. And then Viviana, once again, she's listening to all the stuff that you were sharing, and she said that's fantastic. Fantastic. And I think the question I might have asked about the being able to do sales and the intimidation of it, I think this was, she was reflecting back. That's fantastic. So, and then you already answered a question for Dawn, which she signed up, and so needed to upgrade, but perfect. One more comment from Dawn. Thank you so much, Dawn, for all of your support. Not very good at people is there behind the scenes roles, and she was also, you mentioned that already. So, Dawn, it's this is, I want you to think about it, keep an open mind. This is different kind of sort of people. These are professional individuals in a professional setting. Although at the end of the day, people are people, and when it comes to sales, it could be intimidating to think about. But this is not customer support, perhaps in fast food or fast-paced industries type of thing. This is in a professional setting. You're talking to professionals, high-tech industry training individuals who are have good people skills, and we are trained to deal with our customers and our peers in a more professional level. So don't be intimidated. Give it a chance, give it a try, because it's very different when you deal with individuals in a more corporate mindset than perhaps in our average day-to-day store to store sort of a customer service role. Am I right, Jacqueline?
Especially with the pandemic. Like, I totally get that. You watch the news and look at what the airline industry is dealing with. So
Yeah.
I understand not wanting to people, but yes, very, very different, for sure.
Great, thank you. So, Jacqueline, I'm going to put you back on the spot for you. Is there anything else that we need to know as we get now closer to wrap up our webinar here? Is there anything our community needs to know? Anything about Spireship? What's in the works for you guys? Future plans for the 2022, or even for yourself?
Yeah, I'm happy to share one thing about transferable skills, which I think is really important, and then I'll divulge a little bit about myself, because I think just knowing kind of who's behind the company and why we show up every day is really important. But just some words of encouragement. So if you tune back into the broadcast, or if you're here with us live and you're saying to yourself, I've been out of the career space for a while and I want to re-enter, or what transferable skills do I have? Really play to your strengths, right? So if you think about it from a perspective of whether it's your soft skills, or maybe you even have really good operation skills, just double down on those strengths. Laura, we mentioned customer service. This is anything that you've ever done client facing, speak to that, right? We have a lot of people come from the health and the fitness and the wellness industry that speak to, hey, I've actually provided support. We have educators that are able to speak to being able to break things down, very complex concepts or technical concepts, or maybe you've been an early childcare educator. The point of this is that you have strengths that are in fact transferable, and you want to highlight those things. Of course, on the technology side and on the sales side, some of the skills that you're going to learn from our training: negotiation, prospecting, which is really ensuring that you're talking to the right customers within the organization and qualifying those customers to be your contacts. Data entry, any sort of data maintenance. But going back to these soft skills: strong communication, organization, collaboration, ability to take feedback, and an opportunity or a hunger to want to grow, time management, empathy, active listening, and being, tenacious and goal oriented. Those are all things that if you've been like, yes, I have those, maybe in a different, environment or way, lean into those today. And in fact, so my little reveal, what's happening kind of here at Aspireship is that we are really passionate about helping more people in the coming year, 2022, break into this field. So we're extremely grateful for the partnerships that we have, especially, with Blue Star Careers, Blue Star Families. We're looking to increase our footprint across partnerships. On a personal basis, I'm looking to join the mom club. Got my little baby bump, ladies. So for those of you that are tuning in as a mom, I thank you for paving the way for me forward. But our team is extremely passionate about this and ensuring that people, whether they have a degree or they don't have a degree, whether they have sales experience or they don't have sales experience, we really want to take the impact we've been able to have so far and double that impact, triple that impact in 2022, because these roles are here and available and the earning potential is endless. So
Great. Thank you. Thank you for all of that. And I think you describe all the abilities and all the key skills that a lot of military spouses have as they, pivot and they transition to multiple communities throughout their military lifestyle career. They're definitely time management, because they, for most part, the majority of them, we do solo relocations, because a lot of times our husbands get to go away on their own to go and check in early, and we do our solo relocations. So time management right there. We have to get from one place to another across country in a timely fashion. So we do that. We definitely are very resilient, and we do a lot of great people skills, because we deal with a lot of stuff throughout the military and a lot of new communities, new places to start new networks to engage with. So hey, this is all definitely a great resource for our military community. So thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you for coming to share with us all these great opportunities for everyone to really pivot and engage into future career growth, as well as just simply to try it out. And again, as I mentioned, and I will share the story under the comments as well, because I did see that actually yesterday from your team on LinkedIn Aspireship, from that individual who she trained over and started in Hawaii. And you're right, because that could be very much us, our community. We can start, get the training out of the way, but at least now that there's opportunities. And of course, I don't want to, also just to clarify, I don't want to set you up that you automatically were going to make $100,000 a year. No, you have to start somewhere. But the point is of that, sharing some of that, is that you have to have that mindset of growth and understanding that this could actually lead to a really great sustainable career. And that's really what our mission here at Spouseforce is, always to try to bring you sustainable opportunities that always have that, also that catch of portability, and they fit well with our military lifestyle. So thank you, Jacqueline, for all of your support. Jacqueline with a Y. Look forward to staying connected with you and supporting you and Team Aspireship as well throughout the rest of the year. 2022 is just about to get started, and definitely we have some great plans in works. And then congratulations with your baby. We wish you the best.
Thank you. And once again, for those of you that tuned in today, so nice to see you all here. Laura, thank you for everything you did to make this possible. And if you need us, if you have questions, please check out our blog and also our LinkedIn page. We are here to help you however we can. Have a very happy wind down to 2021 and a very prosperous 2022.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. And remember, Spouseforce, your virtual communities, where you get all the latest updates for future events where we have coming up. So thank you.